Good day. This is the third lesson about Joseph, and we will see now at the end what happened. And we have learned so far that Joseph is a symbol of Jesus that came to save us. Jesus was treated badly by his own people, just like Joseph, and Jesus humiliated himself, he humbled himself to become human, to be crucified, and even to go to hell, to Hades. And the next moment, he was promoted to be King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So we see that in Joseph also. He was in jail, but suddenly he was promoted because he had the Spirit of God, he had the favor of God. And his Egyptian name meant Savior of the world, just like Jesus, the Savior of the world. Okay, so now we're going to look at some photos and archaeology to prove that the story of Joseph is true and what happened at the end. Okay, and the first thing Joseph asked is in today's lesson, this is a highlight, is Dad still alive? All right. Okay. Okay. So first what I want to show you is the place Saqqara. Saqqara was built by Imhotep, and we saw last time the chances that Imhotep and Joseph was the same person is actually very good. Saqqara is the place where Joseph kept all the wheat and all the food, but the silos, the tanks in which he kept all the grain, was under the ground. It wasn't on top of the ground, it was buried under the ground, okay, at Saqqara. Also, he made the first pyramid. He built the first, he designed, planned and built the first pyramid for Pharaoh Djoser. And so this is a photo. This is the real thing, how it looks like. You can see it looks small from here, but if you stand next to it, every level there is about 10 meters, okay? So it's actually very big if you go closer. And the grave of King Djoser is in there. There are tunnels going deeper in the ground also. And also you can see there's a wall around of Saqqara. Saqqara is well known today. And the wall is around Saqqara. So here is also the house. Not the house, the silos, the tanks where he kept the grain, and the first pyramid that he built for King Djoser. Okay. Now this is how it worked. You can see there are steps going down, steps going up, and they had bags or sacks on their heads. So what happened was, let's say the dad of the family wanted to buy food. Remember, there was 7 years of plenty, and then they stored up all the food. And now, when there were 7 years of drought, and the whole world, no one had food, everyone came to Egypt to buy food. So a person will pay, and then he will get his bag. If he paid for 2 bags, then he will get 2 bags. Then he will go down, 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 to the bottom of the silo. And then there was a tap that they opened, and he will fill, a soldier or official will be there, and he would fill the 2 bags, and then with a different staircase, you can see here were 2 sets of staircases. The one is for coming down and the one is for going up, and they will exit another way because the staircase was too narrow, and it made it easier to control. Understand? So a tank, let's say this is a tank, look how huge it was, and it was full of grain. Alright, so this is proof that the story of Joseph was true. Here in hieroglyphics also, can you see? Joseph's brothers were also hungry, his family in Canaan, where Jacob stayed, remember? And they also had a drought, so Jacob sent his sons to Egypt to buy food, but he didn't send Benjamin. Okay, let's read. This is Genesis 42, verse 3. Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain, for there was famine in the land of Canaan also. Now remember, his favorite wife was Rachel, and Rachel had 2 children, Joseph, which Jacob, he thought now is dead, and Benjamin. So he doesn't want to lose Benjamin now. All right. Verse 6. Now Joseph was the governor of the land, the person who sold grain to all its people. So when Joseph's brothers arrived, they bowed down to him with their faces to the ground, just like in the dream. Here they all bow before him now. Verse 7. As soon as Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger and spoke harshly to them. Where do you come from? He asked. And they are very scared now, because they didn't recognize him. From the land of Canaan, they replied, to buy food. So they all have beards, and they look like Hebrew people. Now Joseph, he doesn't look like a Hebrew, he looks like an Egyptian. They are shaved, and they had wigs, and they had different kind of clothes. But he recognized his brothers, the same brothers that sold him. Now remember what we said. Joseph learned to keep his heart pure. He forgave his brothers. There's no hard feelings. He's so glad to see them. But there's a question now. Did they change? Are they as mean as they were? All right, let's see. So Joseph tests his brothers in different ways, because they don't know it's him. So what he does is he accused them of being spies. No, you are spies. You are just here to look how you can invade the country. And they said, no, we are just simple farmers. We are all brothers from the same dad. And he put them in jail. He treated them very badly to see how they will react. And they said to him that they were 12 brothers. One brother is dead, and one brother is still at home. That is why they are only 10. He said, no, okay, but to believe you, I want you to fetch the other brother so that I can see that you are 11 to prove that you are not spies. So to make sure that they will come back, he kept one of them in jail, Simeon. He kept Simeon in jail so that to force them to come back. Okay, so I know for 6 months maybe the food will last. So poor Simeon is in jail for I'm guessing 6 months or what time until their food is finished. But the problem is when they got home and they opened their bags, the money they paid for the food were in their bags. Someone put their money back in their bags. Now, of course, this is a trick. Joseph commanded the soldiers to put their money back in their bags. He wanted to see if they are honest enough next time to bring the money back plus extra. And they did. So now they went to their father Jacob and they said, well, Father, next time we go for food, we have to take Benjamin with. Otherwise, he won't give us food. He won't sell food to us. We need to take Benjamin with. And Jacob is very upset. He said, no, man, never. I will never send Benjamin because maybe he dies also and then I have no one from Rachel. But he had to, he had to send Benjamin because otherwise they wouldn't get food. So when they were very, very hungry, there was no food left, then he allowed Benjamin to go with. Now Reuben is the oldest son, and Judah, he is the leader among the lot. And they said, listen, Dad, if anything happens to Benjamin, you can take our children. We stand, we promise you, we will look well after Benjamin. So they went back and they bought more food and they showed to Joseph. Of course, they don't call him Joseph because they don't know it's Joseph. He's got his own Hebrew name now, Asenat Paneah. And they said to him, well, here's our youngest brother now, Benjamin. See, we are not spies, we didn't lie. And Joseph, he actually wanted to jump forward and hug Benjamin, but now he's still pretending that he is someone else. So he's still testing them. he's trying hard to keep his emotions together. So he gave them food and they left. When they were halfway home, and they gave, of course, they gave the money back. And they said, sorry, we have no idea how the money got into our bags, but here's the money back, plus here's the extra money. We are not poor. We have lots of money. We just need food. So, okay, everything was okay. And as I said, on their way back, here comes the soldiers. And the soldiers attacked them. And they said, what have we done wrong? And the soldiers said, you stole our governor's cup. And they said, we didn't steal anything. We were not even close to the governor's house. And they have a whole argument here. And they said, stop harassing us. We just want food. We are honest people. We are not spies. We are not crooks. If you can find a cup in anyone's bag, you can kill that person. What they don't know is that Joseph put his cup on purpose in Benjamin's bag. And when they opened Benjamin's bag, there is the cup. Poor Benjamin. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know how it got in there. And of course, all the brothers say, no. Take us rather. So they went all the way back to Egypt because now they are under arrest. So now Joseph tested them. If they are honest, they brought the money back. He's testing them if they will stand together, if they will allow Benjamin just to be killed, or did they defend him. And he's very pleased to see they actually defend him. They are not selling him out the way they did with him. But there's one more test: jealousy. So when they arrived back at Joseph's house, now in his house, he prepared a meal for them. Now he wasn't allowed to sit with them because the Egyptians thought they are better than farmers. So he had his own separate table. And of course, he's the governor. And they didn't, they are still sweaty and filthy from their trouble. And he told them how to sit. And he knew who's the oldest: Reuben, then Levi, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. And he put them in order of their age. And they are surprised. How does he know who's the oldest and how do we sit? But when it came to time to eat, he gave Benjamin better food, more food, 10 times more. He spoiled him because he was now testing the brothers if they will be jealous. And you can see, they look at, Benjamin has no idea what is going on. His food is much nicer and 10 times the portion that the others got. And Joseph is watching them. Now at the stage, Joseph, he missed his family so much and his father that he had to, he couldn't hold it anymore. And he revealed to them, I am your brother. I am Joseph. And he didn't speak Egyptian to them. Up to now he's only used Egyptian. And now he's speaking their language, Hebrew. And in their language he says to them, I am Joseph. I am not dead, I'm alive. Look, the dream came true. You all bowed before me. But now they're scared. They are not sure, Let's read what the Bible says. Genesis 45. Then Joseph could no longer control himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, Have everyone leave my presence. So there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard him about it. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still living? But his brothers were not able to answer him because they were terrified at his presence. Now the truth is coming out because I think they never told Jacob the truth. Jacob still thinks that an animal killed Joseph. Verse 4. Then Joseph said to his brothers, Come close to me. When they had done so, he said, I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here. So it's really Joseph, because he knows exactly what happened. Because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. So he's changing it. He says, you didn't sell me. God sent me. You can see he forgave them. And he still loves his brothers. For 2 years now, there has been famine in the land. And for the next 5 years, there will be no plowing and reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. You know, sometimes we go through bad times. Sometimes life is not fair. Sometimes things are just ugly. We can't see what and why. Why is God allowing this? We need wisdom. We need spiritual eyes. We need God to show us, to reveal to us what is really going on. And here Joseph shows them. It was all the plan of God. God knew there's going to be 7 years of drought, even when I was a little boy. And when God gave me the dreams of the stacks of wheat that bowed down, He knew then already, 30 years before it happened, that He's going to use me to save the family from hunger. Okay, so now they understand what is going on. Now I want to show you. I told you I'm going to show you, eh? So here is the Nile River. This is the river of Egypt. You know that. It's one of the longest rivers. I think it is the longest river in the world. It goes all the way down to Ethiopia and further to Zimbabwe. I think Zimbabwe, to Lake Victoria. Anyway, the closer the river comes to the sea, the more it forms a delta. So this is a delta. So the river split up in different streams. Now, I just want to show you, we found the house of Joseph there. Tel El Daba. The word Tel means mountain, like a small mountain, like a man-made mountain. It's like a heap of soil. It's a Tel El Daba. And normally there's a city there or there's a house there. Okay, so they dug up there and they found Joseph's palace. Okay, because he was also grand, he was the governor, so he didn't stay in a small house like the other people. He had a beautiful mansion, and they found his mansion and they found his beautiful garden. I'm going to show you just now. But before we look at the picture of his house, I know you are inquisitive. I'm going to show you just now. Let's look at this beautiful map. Okay, so Goshen is here. So he said to his brothers, come stay in the most fertile place for your sheep. And so Goshen is here on the corner, on the one side. So let's look else what is here. There's Alexandra. Can you see Alexandra? Alexandra is very important when the Greeks took over Egypt, when they attacked Egypt. This is now very later in history. Alexander the Great, he started a city there, a harbor, and he called it after himself. He named it after himself, Alexandra, and there was a beautiful ancient library. I think that's one of the first libraries in the world. This is also the place, Alexandra Library is also the place where the New King James Version was written. Okay, if I'm right. Rosetta, also very important. There they found a stone with lots of stories written on it, but in 3 languages. Okay, so there was hieroglyphics, and then the same story was in cuneiform, and the same story was in Greek. I think those were the 3 languages. And because it was the same story, they could decipher it, because no one knew today. No one knows how to read hieroglyphics. But because of the Rosetta Stone, we could compare, and now today they can read hieroglyphics. Isn't that interesting? All right. So if you don't want to learn Afrikaans, you can learn Egyptian hieroglyphics. I don't know which one is the most difficult. Chinese. Here I want to show you Cairo. There's Cairo today. That is the capital city of Egypt. Okay, Heliopolis, you can hear this is a Greek name. That was an important city also, they made turns to be capital cities. Giza is important because we have the Pyramid of Giza, which is the biggest pyramid. Okay, there is Saqqara. Now Saqqara is what I taught you just now. Saqqara is where Joseph built the pyramid for King Joseph, and where he kept all the grain. Memphis, okay, Memphis is also very important. Memphis was also the capital city of Egypt. Every time when there's a new pharaoh, then they change the capital. Depends what his reasons were. Okay, so this is the top side of Africa. So this is still Africa, okay? This is still Africa. This is the northernest part of Africa. This is the Mediterranean Sea, and on the other side of the sea is Europe. Okay, so let's see. This is a reconstruction of how the palace or the mansion of Joseph looked like, with beautiful palm trees, and it was a whole big house, and he lived in luxury. You can see his house is much bigger than the other houses. Okay, so this is now who's this? This is Joseph's wife, Asenath. Okay, this is Joseph's wife, and they confirmed that this is how she looked like. She looks very pretty to me. Okay, now remember we said Asenath, the secret, what the Jewish people believe is that Asenath was his niece. It was the daughter of Dinah, his sister Dinah. Anyway, what I want to show you here, this is still the house of Joseph, what I showed you just now. But here are the graves of all his brothers. Okay, they are smaller graves there, I shown. But every one of these is a grave. So as his brothers died, each one had his own grave. And there, the biggest one, this is the grave of Joseph. Okay, but Joseph is not buried here today. So what happened was, Joseph said that Moses, 400 years later, Moses must take his body and bury it in his dad's grave. Okay, he said that he doesn't want his body to stay in Egypt forever. He made them promise me when you leave Egypt to go back to Canaan, take my bones with you. And you can see that when Moses and the nation left Egypt in a hurry, this grave was broken open. You can see it was done in a hurry. It wasn't done respectfully. It was done in a hurry. And they smashed a few things, and the bones of Joseph is gone. So the brothers are so, I think, shocked, and then scared, and then happy. Now they have to go back to Canaan to tell Jacob, their father, that Joseph is not dead, that Joseph is the governor of Egypt, who they thought is the mean man. Oh, shame, look at that. And here, Jacob didn't want to believe them. But when he saw the chariots of Egypt coming to fetch him, then he believed. Oh, look at that. And, he never thought that he will ever see Joseph again. And they cried and cried and cried and cried. And, can I tell you, he stayed, Jacob lived another 10 years or so, long, in Egypt before he died. And Joseph gave him a special house, and his brothers gave them all houses, and no, 17 years, sorry. He stayed there he lived in Egypt for 17 years to make up for all the time that he didn't see Joseph. And that's not all. Then Joseph had 2 children, boys, Ephraim and Manasseh. And Jacob had the privilege to know them and to bless them. And you know what he did? He adopted them, that he will be part of the 12 brothers. So now there were 13 actually, okay? 12, 13, 14. But in the place of Joseph, he had Ephraim and Manasseh. So he actually had 13 sons. All right? So when Jacob knew that he's going to die, it was on his deathbed, he said to Joseph, "Bring me your sons. I adopt them as my own and let me bless them." Now normally the right hand must be on the oldest son and the left hand must be on the youngest son. But he crossed his hands because remember, Jacob himself stole the first birthright from his brother Esau. So now he gives the best blessing to the younger brother. Okay, I think Manasseh was the oldest. Well, I can't remember, but he crossed his hands. And Ephraim and Manasseh were blessed, and they got a better blessing than all the other uncles. So Jacob prayed a blessing over all his children, one by one, and everything he blessed them with came true. You know, everything he said came true. We will look at that later on. And he blessed Ephraim and Manasseh. And Ephraim and Manasseh were more blessed. And in future, you will see their generations were much bigger, much more blessed than any other tribe in Israel. Now this is Hebron today. This is a photo today. If you go to Israel, this is the cave of Machpelah in Hebron. This is where Abraham bought a cave from the Philistines, or the Hittites. It was actually the Hittites. He bought a cave from the Hittites so he can bury his wife Sarah. And so the whole family was buried there. Abraham, this doesn't look like a cave, I agree with you, Nay. So they built a church over the cave. There's a building, the cave is in there. And then they built like a fortress around that again. I will show you the inside just now. So Abraham was buried here in a cave with his wife Sarai. Then Isaac with his wife Rebekah were also buried here. And then Jacob, he was also buried here. Remember, Jacob had 4 wives, and only one of these wives were buried with him, and that was the wife Leah. Now remember, Rachel was his favorite wife, but she wasn't buried here. She was buried in Bethel, where she died. And who else was buried here? Joseph, because that was his special request, that he will be buried with his dad. So this is the second grave. Moses promised, the Israelites promised that they will bury Joseph in the same grave as Abraham. Now, if you go inside that building, they say, so we don't know, we just believe them. Inside this thing, can you see that it looks like the same as the graves there by the house of Joseph? This is the grave of Abraham. Okay, so you can walk around in this building. You can watch videos on YouTube. You can also watch videos if you are interested, and you can see all the graves of Father Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. They will show them. They will show it's all there. So this is the story of Joseph. And we're not finished yet. We want to know what happened to the brothers. And what happened after Joseph. Isn't that so? So Joseph died when he was 110 years old. And they say there were 4 pharaohs that lived when Joseph was there. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have learned. First place, learn to forgive, learn to have a pure heart, say no to fornication, keep close to God, do what is right, and you want, the third thing is you want the favor of God on your life. Then anything you do will be blessed. Do you understand? Many people go and they find a job and they start a job and they do things and they don't have success. Now, if you read Psalm 1, if you meditate on the word of the Lord day and night, if you live close to God, if you put God first, if you have the favor of God on your life, then you will be successful. The blessing of God will be with you. Okay, is that a good lesson? Now, as a teenager, let's learn from Joseph that even if you're a young man, you don't have to be like the rest. Be different. Okay, serve God, put God first. Live for God. Stand out. Be different. Okay. You don't have to lie like the rest of them or be pervert like the rest of them. You don't have to join in their dirty jokes. Be different. Live a clean life. Keep your eyes pure and clean. Keep your ears clean. Okay. And when you make a mistake, when you do sin, you run to Jesus, you confess, and He wash you clean again with the blood of Jesus, and He restores you. All right. Okay. God bless you.